Have you ever met someone who seemed perfect, polite, calm, even generous? Their words were measured, their presence comforting, their smile constant, and yet something about them left you unsettled. Like walking into a room that looks clean but feels cold. Like hearing music that's in tune but eerily off. What if I told you that the most dangerous people are not the ones who lash out in anger or shout across a room, but those who wear masks of charm, composure, and righteousness? Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychiatrist, believed that the real danger in human beings lies not in aggression or dishonesty, but in something much quieter. Something that hides behind good manners, spiritual posturing, and a calm, collected voice. In this video, we're going to explore Jung's chilling insights into the human psyche and reveal the single psychological trait that he believed marks the most dangerous kind of person. A trait so deceptive that you might not notice it until the damage is already done. By the end, you may never see people or yourself the same way again. Let's begin. Jung's vision of the human psyche, the mask and the shadow. To understand Jung's warning, we first need to understand his unique vision of the human mind. Jung believed that every human being wears a mask, what he called the persona. This is the part of ourselves that we show to the world, our polite smiles, our confident tone, our agreeable nature. The persona helps us function in society, but it's only skin deep. Beneath that surface lies something far more mysterious and far more powerful. Jung called it the unconscious, a vast inner realm filled with instincts, fears, dreams, and desires we don't dare acknowledge. And within that unconscious lies the shadow. The shadow is the part of ourselves we've rejected, the parts that didn't earn approval, the parts that didn't fit in. From childhood, we learn what's acceptable, what makes us lovable, worthy, and good. Traits like anger, ambition, independence, or vulnerability may be labeled bad or inconvenient, so we bury them. We say, "That's not me," and we push them deep into the unconscious. But here's the truth Jung warned us about: what we bury doesn't disappear, it waits, and in the dark it grows. The hidden power of the shadow. Contrary to popular belief, the shadow isn't evil. It's not just a container for rage or violence. It also holds our repressed talents, our raw creativity, and our true desires. But when we refuse to face the shadow, when we deny its existence, it becomes twisted and distorted. And that's when it becomes dangerous. People who deny their shadow begin projecting it onto others. They accuse the world of being greedy, selfish, angry, all while refusing to admit those same traits exist inside themselves. Jung believed that this is where the real danger lies. Not in people who act badly, but in people who believe they're always good. Because if you're blind to your own darkness, you won't see the harm you cause. And worse, you'll justify it. When the shadow strikes back, so what happens when we suppress the shadow entirely? According to Jung, the unconscious doesn't just store these rejected traits. It reshapes them. It pushes them to the surface in strange symbolic ways through dreams, compulsions, emotional outbursts, and sabotage. You might find yourself sabotaging a relationship for no reason, losing your temper unexpectedly, battling irrational fears that seem to come from nowhere. That's not random. That's your shadow clawing its way to the surface. The longer we repress it, the stronger it becomes. What we refuse to acknowledge eventually forces itself into our lives, not as conscious choice, but as fate. In Jung's famous words, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's why people who seem calm on the outside can harbor storms inside. The split between their external image and internal reality creates unbearable tension. And that tension needs an outlet. It might come out as passive-aggressive remarks, subtle cruelty, self-righteous advice, or control disguised as concern. These are the quiet signs of a shadow trying to break through. The illusion of moral superiority, the shadow's perfect disguise. Now here's where it gets even more dangerous. Jung warned us not just about repressed impulses, but about a delusion he considered particularly insidious: moral superiority. The people Jung feared most were not those who admitted their flaws, but those who believed they had none. When someone sees themselves as entirely good, morally righteous, or spiritually elevated, they lose the ability to reflect on their own behavior. They become immune to self-criticism. And this is where the shadow hides best. People convinced of their own goodness often justify manipulation as help control as protection, and cruelty as tough love. Their actions may look noble, but underneath lies a refusal to acknowledge their own hidden motives, the very parts of themselves they've disowned. Jung believed that the more someone clings to a perfect self-image, the more likely they are to unconsciously act out its opposite. Not because they're evil, but because they've become blind. Jung's most chilling insight, the most dangerous sign. So what connects all of this? What is the invisible thread running through repression, projection, and moral superiority? According to Jung, the most dangerous sign in a person is this: the complete absence of shadow awareness. When someone denies their own capacity for wrongdoing, when they refuse to believe they are capable of jealousy, cruelty, anger, or deceit, when they claim they are always kind and always fair, always good, that's when you should be most cautious. Because it's not the presence of darkness that makes someone dangerous. It's the denial of it. People who acknowledge their shadow are more trustworthy. Why? Because they've faced their potential to harm and they take responsibility for it. They live with humility and caution. But those who believe they have no shadow, they justify everything. They rationalize anything. And they leave a trail of emotional confusion behind them, never understanding the role they played. In Jung's eyes, this isn't just a psychological problem. It's a form of spiritual blindness, a detachment from the whole self. What are we not seeing in ourselves? So the next time you meet someone who insists they're always kind, always moral, always right, pause. Ask yourself, what are they not seeing in themselves? And better yet, ask yourself, what am I not seeing in me? Because the shadow doesn't only exist in others, it lives in all of us. And when we learn to face it, to own it, to integrate it, we don't just become safer to others, we become whole. If this video gave you something to reflect on, something that challenged how you see yourself or others, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to go deeper into the psychology of the shadow, the persona, and Jung's map of the human soul, don't forget to subscribe to Cypheria. Because the more deeply we understand others, the more courageously we must look into ourselves. And that, Jung believed, is where real transformation begins.